The information we have so far, we have about more than 100 people registered. So right now around the 50 mark. We'll just wait, let's say 20 seconds. Okay, by my watch, it's 10:02. So my name is Morris Villaroel. I work here at the UPM, and I will be moderating this presentation or info session. And so we're talking about joint call number 5. Happy St. Valentine's Day to everybody. Thank you for coming. And this is the basic agenda. We'll try to make the introductory part more or less short. So we provide some basic information about ELISA Communities and the 5th joint call as well by different members from Work Package 8, who's kind of like the ELISA Community Management Group, who are here with me as well. And the idea is to also answer or address questions that you may have. So after me, Sophia will be talking right now briefly, the Executive Director. Just a general introduction, and I will continue with a basic background or philosophy of the ELISA Communities. Then Borte will be talking about the evaluation criteria, Camille from PSL, and Sandor, and then we will go into questions and answers, hopefully around 10:30. So I'll give the floor to Sophia.
Good morning to everyone. As you know, I'm always delighted to come to talk with the ELISA Communities. Is always a particularly happy day for me. So welcome to this 5th joint call, and welcome to all the participants. I'm seeing the number is rising and we are 60. So I'm really glad for the success of it. And first of all, I would also like to acknowledge the tremendous work that you are already doing. Maybe many of you have been in ELISA Communities for a while, maybe others are more new, but I would like to use the opportunity to underline the importance that you have in the development of our alliance and the crucial role that you have in making tangible and concrete the collaboration and the joint impact that ELISA can have in the students' experience, but not just, also in everyone's experience, staff and academics. ELISA Communities for me is really the mirror of the most relevant, showcasing the purpose and the desire to impact that we can show in European universities. For me, it's really important because we are really capable of aligning not just common strategy, but the commitment and purpose, and creating a continuum between education, research, innovation, and society. And this is really important, and this is already happening in ELISA Communities, and is a strong statement, and also really an important and key opportunity. So for me, and also for ELISA governance, and this is reflected on our joint commitment in the joint calls, ELISA Communities are really a key and central value proposal of ELISA. So for me, it's really important, and I thank you everyone for your commitment and passion to this common purpose, and thank you for being here with us. So for the ones that maybe are a little bit more new to ELISA, ELISA Alliance has renewed its ambition 2 years ago. We have joined new partners and associated partners, and one of our aims is really to continue to be a driving force behind and pushing forward the green and digital transition. This is really important for us, and we want to do that by using what connects us, which is our European values of respect, diversity, and inclusion, as a blueprint of common action. So really, ELISA wants to provide this framework, and the joint calls are a key instrument to provide you with that opportunity. Also, the ELISA joint calls are really a common commitment of the ELISA governance into putting together tools, funds to support your actions. So this is really important so that we can trigger collaboration and we can trigger also new ways of doing things and innovating. If we could go to the next slide, really in a nutshell, ELISA communities are really an incredible opportunity to connect staff, academics around, and students around the common mission. As you know, they have an interdisciplinary approach connected to challenges, connected to activities, and also to recognition frameworks around ELISA recognition and ELISA credentials. This is really important. So it's really a flexible organic space of collaboration in which we can really, again, and I will underline that again, in which you can connect education, innovation, research, and society. In the next slide, I think we have put some examples of how we orchestrate these ecosystems. Of course, it's a place in which we should gather different stakeholders, not just internal stakeholders, but also connect with public authorities, business, companies, industry, and a way also to give opportunities also to our staff and students to learn and to engage to a societal challenge. Of course, as the joint goals, we are trying, and ELISA and the WIDE is trying to support you by providing services, by sharing knowledge, documents, so that you can use your ELISA communities the most effective as possible. And so this joint goal will give you an opportunity to fund and to connect with colleagues to provide activities. This was really, in a nutshell, what I would like to bring, and wish you a successful preparation of calls, and most importantly, that this is an opportunity to collaborate between colleagues to set up an activity, but most importantly, an opportunity to open these activities to all our students around all the ELISA member institutions. Thank you, and I wish you really good luck, and the success of ELISA, as you know, really lies in your commitment. So thank you for that. Thank you, Maurice.
Okay.
The floor is yours again.
Thank you very much, Sophia, also for finding the time to be here today. Thank you for that introduction. I think this next slide, I'm briefly summarizing what Sophia just said, kind of in a text. So you'll have this text if you want to refer to it. And I will read it. Joint calls are a way of providing competitive financial support to ELISA communities. So this is the basic aspect of the communities, which Sophia just said, through ELISA activities leading to credentials. So we have this access, no communities, activities, and credentials. The specific characteristics of ELISA communities can be found on the website. But in the wider context of higher education institutions, they can be compared to interdisciplinary organizations, or IDOs, which has already been written up in the literature. Cross-disciplinary and multi-actor academic research teams addressing complex challenges in conjunction with the triple helix. However, ELISA communities can be regarded as a novel concept. So I think this is quite new. We've received some attention from the Commission, from their recent report about how ELISA really promotes these communities. It's a bottom-up initiative, which is kind of unique among the 65 alliances we have. So it is kind of like an IDO, but it's regarded as a novel concept, being less related to research per se and more to innovative teaching methods, linking research, innovation, and challenge-based learning. So this is key when we're evaluating these proposals as well. Joint calls have been used to promote this linkage, emphasizing the important role of education and training as well. So we're trying to do a lot, but there is a kind of an academic concept and context for this. I'll go to the next slide. This is kind of in a graphic way summarizing my previous slide, but just to let you know, we have 57 communities. There are 3 new ones in 2024. I just received a proposal for a new community the day before yesterday. So we would like to increase these communities as well. So don't be afraid if you're a new community, or you can form a new community in order to be able to be eligible for this joint call. So we have the communities, activities, and credentials. We shouldn't kind of lose track of that. And finally, my last slide before getting into the joint call, the 5th joint call. This is a bit more complex of a slide, but you see on the x-axis, these are number of participants in activities from joint call 3 and 4. So we see here in blue, there were some participants that were less than 50 in joint call 3, up to 150. In joint call 4, we've increased that a bit, where participants have gone up to 250. Now here I'm including participants who are also virtual. So we have in-presence and kind of hybrid and virtual participants. So I'm adding them all up. So I think we would like the more the better. This is what we've been proposing for this new joint call, where we'd like the activities to be at least hybrid. So we have thousands of students in all our alliance, so we want to get as much as possible interested and involved in these activities. And as that increases, also the average cost per participant decreases. So this is the number of euros. So it averages from about 350 euros per participant or learner, especially when there are fewer participants, or less than 50 euros. So this is also something which we haven't put strict limits on participation or on the cost, but it's something we take into consideration when we evaluate these proposals. So this is in the case of Joint Call 4, which was launched in September of last year. Okay, so without further ado, we go to the joint call itself for the evaluation criteria. I'm not sure if Borte is here, if she wants to take over now. We have a colleague from Borte from no, it's not moving. From ITU, which I think she's not be able to. There's also an hour change, so maybe there's a bit of difficulty for her to attend. So I'll continue with these 2 slides. For the 5th joint call, the basic rationale and scope promote interinstitutional activities within EELISA communities to advance innovative teaching methods addressing SDGs. Of course, this is related to what I was talking before about credentials. Activities should be interdisciplinary, mission-driven, and involve stakeholders from at least 3 ELISA partners. And at the same time, this activity should be open to all ELISA students. So this has been sometimes difficult to convey to all the organizers in the recent joint calls, but a lot of people have done a great job, where you can organize an activity with your community in one institution with 2 other partners, but this activity should be open to all partners, all students from all partners. The evaluation criteria, we have set up a point system and actually become quite detailed with this over the years. So we give maximum 40 points to relevance, novelty, and societal impact of your proposal. Within that, there's a kind of a detail about how many points to each part, which you can see on the text online. So 10 points, 5 points, 15 points for different aspects related here, just to be clear and transparent. 40 points to the learning ecosystem. So this is especially related to the educational part. So the challenge-based learning part, which should be something kind of more outstanding in this section. And the implementation, a bit fewer points, but is also important. So how is being executed, when it will be when it will be done, and the budget, which, as you know, has increased since the last joint calls. It's increased to 15,000 euros. Next slide is for Camille, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, so I'm Camille from PSL. So I will talk about the budget. So you need to know that there is a difference between this joint call and the previous one because the decision was taken to increase the maximum budget you can request for your activity from 10,000 euros. We changed and we increased to 15,000 euros. The main reason is that you couldn't always integrate participation costs in your budget. So this is why we decided to increase the maximum. And basically, with this 15,000 euros, you need to cover organizational costs like speakers, I don't know, personal costs like training if you need help for the organization of your activity, a coffee break if it's a conference or something like that, and also the people, the students who will participate in your activity. So you really need to take into account these two categories. Of course, you can have other funding, extra funding. It's always appreciated to have co-funding for your activities, and you can talk about that in your proposal. So the next slide is on the timeline of joint calls. It's always important to have it in mind. So if you are not completely ready for this time, you have other opportunities during the year. We are launching two calls per year. Basically, it's around the beginning of February, like this one, and at the beginning of September. Of course, the calendar can change a little bit, more or less. You have these two opportunities each year. Thank you, Maurice.
Okay, thank you, Camille. Sandor from BME.
Thank you. In this slide, you can see the most important dates that you have to take care. First one is the submission deadline. As you can see, you have roughly 1 month to prepare your joint call, and you have to submit it until the 15th of March. And then the committee needs around about 2 weeks to read and think and evaluate your calls. So by the end of March, the calls will be evaluated, and the leaders of the winning calls will get an email about the result, and the final result will be published a few days later, so in the beginning of April. And when you prepare your proposal, you have to send it to this email address, as you can see here, the communities at elisa.eu in Word format. And you can find the Word template in the home page of the ELISA. And if you win in this joint call, then you can organize your activity, and then the earliest date when you can start to carry out after 2 months after the resolution of the call is according to our calendar is from the 1st of June. And you have 1 year to organize your activity of the publication. So as you can see here, is up to 3rd of February the next year. And after you finished your activity, you have to submit a final report about your activity within 6 weeks after the closing the activity. In this final report, you have to give a short summary about your activity. You have to give a brief description about the organizers, participants, ELISA credentials, the activity outcomes, and that's all.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sandor and Camille. Okay, so now we can go even a bit early to questions. You can either raise your hand and say them out loud. You can post your question in the chat. We also have an email dedicated to communities, communities at ELISA EU. And this presentation will be uploaded to YouTube, and we'll also be sending, or you can also download a copy of this presentation from the call website. So there's a website where the call was announced, and you can download it from there. So I think now we can move to questions. This the last slide was the contact points. So each, I don't know if you know this, but each institution has a representative in Work Package 8. In other words, each institution has an expert in ELISA Communities. So you can find here on your institution and write to them directly. So for example, PSL was Camille who just was talking, and BME is Charota along with Sandor, and I myself am from the UPM. Okay, so I think we can go now to questions. I could stop sharing the screen. I could share it again if somebody has specific questions for slides, and I will stop sharing so I can see any questions. Look at the chat. Okay. So if there are no questions, this will be very short, and we can just upload. First question, who can form and apply for the joint call? Yeah, so we've basically organized this around communities. So the joint calls are going to, you can only ask for funding if you are part of a community. Normally, it's the community leader, so an ELISA community. So you have to make a community in order to apply for the funding. And this community should have at least three partners from the 10 partners from the Alliance. This could be the hard part. In other words, finding other colleagues to make a community. Unfortunately, we can't always help with that because we don't know all your interests, but definitely contact your contact point at your institution who should be able to help. But it's hard to give general parameters, but this would be the first stage to find out who you can contact to make a community. Can a professor, a student, and a student organization, for example, create one? Yes, this example of, just the day before yesterday, I had from Work Package 8, we had a proposal for a new community that was just students. And the student, a bunch of students came together and want to create a community. So students can organize a community and ask for funding. Thank you for the presentation. Is there a minimum limit for collaborators? Well, the minimum is basically 3. In other words, you have a lead proposer. So a person who's leading the application, you'll see the template there online. I don't know, Danielle, if you want to send a link for the template so people can see it, but there's a template. So we have a leader and then we have 2 co-leaders. And those 3 should be from different institutions. So for example, UPM, PSL, BME. That would be the minimum. We kind of favor, when we're evaluating these proposals, more collaborators, almost the more the better, from different institutions and also companies, students, PhD students, administration. Some of these activities become really big and some are repeated every year. So they can be quite large and sophisticated. I don't know, I'm kind of answering all the questions, but oh, okay. I see there's some young people attending as well. So hybrid activities, are they mandatory or just recommended? This was a discussion in the executive board in Budapest. We have decided to, let's say, make it more mandatory. We are not sure how many proposals we will receive, but we will give a higher score to activities that have a component that is at least hybrid. So I know there are some activities which may be difficult to make the whole thing hybrid, but we should give an opportunity to as many students as possible to participate in online activities. I might mention that we have had activities that have lasted over 3 months or 6 months. So there are some meetings that are online, which are virtual, obviously. And then there's a component when there's an in-presence part that could be hybrid, but maybe if you're visiting, for example, a factory, it's difficult to make it hybrid. So that section isn't, but there are some people who are involved in the virtual activities that could be involved in the in-presence activities virtually. Again, we're kind of leaving this open to your ideas, so we're welcome to, you're welcome to think about different ways this can happen. Danielle shared the template. Looking at the questions here, how can we find a potential partner? How is it supported? Is there a platform to that? We tried, but we couldn't find two partners, only one. Yeah. Well, we're here to help. So I would look at the contact point for your university. Every university has what we call an ELO, an electric, no, I was going to say electric light orchestra. No, an ELO is ELISA local office, and they can help you, or they can try to help you to find partners. It's not quite easy. For example, I'm from a field, this is agronomy or agronomic, and there are not too many partners dealing with food, for example. So for my group, it has been a bit tough, but we don't have a specific method or platform to find, but there are platforms, for example, from Innocor that you can go, that you can find people researching in certain areas. And you can either write to myself or to the ELISA Central Office or to your ELO or help with that. Will the slide deck be shared or only the recording for YouTube? Yeah, we'll share the slide deck. It should be a link to a PDF file on the website on the web page for this joint call. So after the meeting, you should have it there. Okay. In one joint call, is it advisable to organize a conference as well as a course-related activity, or should they be separate? Or can those two be considered as two parts of the same activity? Well, I have noticed that when we saw that graph, that there were 250 participants, some of our proposals have included students from undergraduate courses. So there's been like a link between the activity and an actual course that is happening, let's say in first year. So then you get a lot more students, no? So this is an option. We have used that option at the UPM. UPM has been working on activities and courses over the last 4 years. And so we've tried different methods. Activities more run by companies, activities more related to courses, or activities just kind of a one-shot deal over 2 or 3 days. When we're evaluating, basically we're evaluating the proposal for one activity, but that activity can run over several months. So I wouldn't necessarily separate that into two activities. So we could have one activity for 15,000 euros, and I wouldn't say you have to really separate those two parts into two different activities. Okay, another question. I am a PhD student, but I will graduate within 1 month. So can I do an application even if I have graduated? Yes, good question. Many of the activities are open to everybody. So if you're a lifelong learner, if you're a person outside the university, there is the possibility to attend. But part of the trick of these activity proposals is that not only do you need to provide the activity per se, how you will run it, but you should provide an idea of how you will select your participants. So in this case, Muru Gvet is asking as a PhD student, they may be focusing on undergraduate students. And so the activity proposals will have a setup where they select the possible participants that will come to the activity. We can't say right now whether you will be accepted or not, but so there's a possibility that you can, depending on the activity. Another question from Karen. What is the procedure to find or start a community? You'll find that on the webpage. If you go to elisa.eu, there's at the top, you will say community platform. And there, when you go to the community platform, you will see the first tab that says get started. So I would start there to start a community to see how it works. And again, depending on your institution, you should have help from your local contact, which I could set up again. Danielle just provided the link. I can show this again, this slide, no? So you should be able to find that later on with the slide deck to provide you with more information for the contact points. Okay. I don't know if my other colleagues from Work Package 8 want to say more things. Maybe I forgot something. And we can continue to have more questions. Victoria, how are you from FAU? We met in Erlangen.
Fine, thank you.
Okay. I was going to say, if there are no more questions, that if you are really thinking of asking for a proposal for the budget, we have increased the budget from 10 to 15,000, as Camille said, basically to increase the amount of money that we have available for participants. With just 10,000, let's say if by simple math, if you say, okay, 10,000, let's say 3,000 for organization, cost for moving around teachers, 3,000 for catering and maybe somebody to help you, and 3,000 or 4,000 for participation. Sometimes that 4,000 euros for participation costs paid 8 students, something. Now, if we increase the budget to 15,000, our hope is that you can pay, more students. So we're talking about 10, 12, 20, depending on the event and where it is. Increase the participation. So I would hesitate to, in your new proposal, to increase organizational costs. Really, the idea for the increased budget is to increase the total budget available for participation. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it correctly. Another question, Ildiko?
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, but this is easier to ask than to write in the chat. I
Sure.
was wondering about the credentials. I'm not too clear on if we organize an activity. Is it up to us on what form or what we give credentials for, because it's called an ELISA credentials, and we are very free in creating that because the activities are innovative and new? Or do they have to be connected to standard higher education credit systems, or everything is possible? Or can you give me more on that? Because the website is a bit difficult to navigate. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we can find the link to send you now about the credentials. Oh, Danielle, he's really fast. He sent you the link to the credentials page, which you can read, or I can explain it to you briefly. So basically, there's a whole setup for ELISA credentials, which we've tried to make as streamlined and simple as possible. So in the proposal, you should choose 1, 2, 3 SDGs. And you will see on this link that Danielle sent that apart from choosing the SDGs, there are like sub tasks or sub challenges within the SDGs. And within those, you can either be informed, which would be a level 1, or you can really be engaged, which would be a level 5. So technically, this is a new thing, the ELISA credentials, which has also been noticed by the commission that we've made this, and it's been positive. It's not directly tied to ECTS or another credit system, but we ask in your proposal that you give us an idea of how that might translate to ECTS. a lot of people translate it to 1, maybe 2 ECTS, but it's not the same thing. I don't know if that helps. Okay.
Yes, thank you. That's clear. Thank you.
Okay, Carlos Paredes, once the activity has finished and the spreadsheet are submitted to ELISA office, how long usually takes to get credentials? Good question. We usually kind of wait to have a certain number of activities done. Up to now, I would say it's we issue those credentials between 1 and 2 times a year. So I would say there could be a longer or shorter wait depending on when you did your activity. So it's not immediate. Having said that, we are updating the website. We have a meeting in March in Bucharest to think about this and say ways that this could be a bit more automatic. So the short answer, Carlos, is that it takes a bit of a while. It's not immediate, but we're working on that to make that a bit faster. Okay. Nobody else. Okay, so I think if there are no other questions, you have the contacts, you see have the web page, you have us, and good luck with your proposal. Our idea is to meet Work Package 8 in the week of the 19th of March to meet and assess the proposals then, and then get back. We'll be getting back to each proposal, the winning proposal, to make sure you accept the kind of the rules of this, and then the final ones will be announced at the beginning of April, like Sandor said. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, we'll see you sometime. Thank you for attending.
Thank
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.